Hiya. Welcome to
Hey.
installment of Know Your Trock, hashtag Know Your Trock, where you get the opportunity to learn a little bit more about our Trocadero artists and other important collaborators. Today, we will be chatting with the multifaceted Shohei Iwahama. Hi, Sho.
Hi.
Also known as Anya Marx, and one of my Trocadero favorite names for boys, Chip Piddidouda. Um, Show has been with us since March of 2022, so about 2.5 years now, pretty much, right? Time
Mhm.
flies. Time flies, my friend. Um, Show, why don't we jump right in? Why don't you just tell the viewers a little bit about your background? Where are you from? How did you come to dance on your early years and all that good stuff?
Sure. So I grew up, born and raised in Tokyo, Japan. I grew up in a family of musicians and dancers. My mom plays the piano. She also still teaches piano. My dad plays the flute. I think he used to play the flute in an orchestra and also like tour with ballet companies before I was born. Um, and my sisters, I have two older sisters, and they used to play instruments too, violin and the flute. And I myself also played the cello for a long time. But my sisters, they also danced as well. So that's how I was introduced to dance. Um, I even went to their studio when I was like between 2 and 4 years old.
Little Show.
I I even participated in their recitals and stuff too. But I have like a really vague memories of it.
Memory.
Um, but I didn't dance for a long time after I quit when I was 4. Um, we also moved to a different city, so it was about an hour commute by train. So that's another reason probably that I didn't dance while my sisters continued. But I was playing the cello since I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and that's
Mhm.
what I was doing for the most part. When I think I was 14, I went to see one of my friend's ballet recital, and his parents were also ballet teachers.
Mhm.
And when I saw the recital, like something just tickled my heart
Yeah.
and was like, Mom, I think I want to dance again. And she was like, You've tried so many different things. Like, you've done karate, you've done swimming, you went to swimming school, like, but you don't really like continue
Yeah.
anything besides the cello. So she was like, "Okay, so this is your last chance."
It's either this or the cello, and that's it.
Uh, yeah, like, so, like, you better, make
Like,
something out of it if you try. So I started going to my friend's parents' ballet studio.
mhm.
So it was a classical ballet studio, and
This is still in
this,
Japan, right? You're still in Japan
yes,
with your family.
still in Japan in junior high school. And so the studio was for classical ballet, but the studio my sisters went to was modern
Mhm.
ballet, modern dance studio. Um, but yeah, I loved classical ballet, but I also wanted to do more modern and contemporary stuff too. And that was the time I was about to graduate junior high
Mhm.
and to go to high school. And my high school was an hour away from where I lived.
Jesus.
And the studio that my sisters used to go to was actually the next stop. So ideally, I wanted to continue both classical ballet and modern dance at the same time. And I visited the old studio where my sisters went to, and I knew the teacher since I was in my belly.
Yeah.
Well, my parents knew. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know.
yeah. Since you were like an embryo, you already knew everybody there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and but I was telling her like I still want to do classical ballet, uh, and she was like, "Yeah, we're also planning on adding more classical ballet classes too, so you can continue both." But it turns out she never really added like they did have some classical ballet
Mhm.
classes for like adult beginners, but
But you weren't
nothing
able
for
to
like
continue with that level of training that you had
yeah.
then.
So
Yeah.
nothing serious.
Mhm.
So I just ended up focusing just strictly on modern dance and contemporary. Um, yeah, so I didn't really do classical ballet much until I went to the Ailey School in New York City. So, which was when I was 18. They had this government grant program for
Mhm.
younger dancers to foster professional dancers in Japan,
Yeah.
and so that they can come back to Japan later on, and then they can uh, bring up the
Yeah.
dance
Ideas
community
and
in Japan.
Mhm, mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
so I did that, and I think that's when I actually started taking more classical ballet classes. But it wasn't until like later I started performing more in the ballet context, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at that point, you were already in New York City or in the US full time, or did you go
Uh,
back to Japan after the Ailey program and perform there?
so after I spent a year at the Ailey School,
Mhm.
when I came to New York, I was taking a leave of absence from my high school in Japan.
Yep.
So I had to go back and graduate and
Mhm.
finish my high school degree. So I went back to Japan first for about a year, and but I still wanted to come back to the States because
Mhm.
since I was little, living in the States was my dream,
Yeah.
like my American dream.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wanted to find a way to continue my education, but I also liked studying.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I wanted to go to a college or university.
University.
So I good, and my parents didn't really have a lot of money to
Yep.
send me to expensive school or
Mhm.
universities. So I Googled the cheapest community college that has a dance program and that provides scholarships for international students. I
Wow.
found this random community college in Wyoming, Rock Springs, Wyoming. So I applied and I got my scholarship there, and which was amazing. Um, really cheap. I got there. I was actually the only dance major there.
You got a scholarship, so
I
thank God,
was
you know?
Yeah, but they had a really good musical theater program, so
Mhm.
they had other students in dance classes,
Mhm.
and I had a lot of fun. Um, then I was only there for a semester, but during my first semester there, we had a guest choreographer came from a university in Texas, some Houston State University.
Yep.
Uh, so I talked to him and, hey, I was looking for someone that I can transfer to. And he contacted the department chair right away,
Wow.
and he got me scholarships. And yeah, the following semester, I was in Texas at a university.
That's incredible. But,
Yeah,
that's like especially if you're coming from a different country into the United States and you wanna pursue those types of careers, you have to have the, wherewithal to just be like, "Okay, what can I do? How can I get there?
yeah,
What are the avenues?" Because, especially in the arts, everybody has a different avenue to be able to pull it off, especially when
mhm,
you're young and you're, like, trying to make it.
yeah.
So was it while you were in Texas that you came to know about the Trocks, or after you were in the United States already training? Like, how does the Trocks connection come about? Like, when did you first hear about the Trocks, so to speak?
Yeah, so I think that I had seen Trocks on TV, like TV commercials
Yeah.
when I was little in Japan because Trocadero is really big there.
Mhm.
Um, but I never really thought anything about it. I just thought, oh, it's an interesting
Mhm.
group. They do ballet and they're all men. But I didn't think too much about it like afterwards. But I think I probably found some YouTube videos online,
Mhm.
and that's when I saw Trocadero and actually acknowledged uh, the company as like me being a dancer.
Yeah, like at the
Uh,
potential source of employment, at somewhere that you would like to maybe go in the future.
yeah, and back then, classical ballet still wasn't something that I thought I would never do.
Mhm.
Um, Especially being a male
Mhm.
dancer, like I
Mhm.
hated doing double tours, and I always thought it was so scary. And I wasn't really interested in always standing behind a ballerina and be a human prop. And I'm
Mhm.
not saying, like being a male ballet dancer is being a human prop, but and there's so much to it. But as someone who wasn't too familiar with classical ballet, and that's kind of like all you see in videos and stuff. Um, but yes, I think so. That was probably around somewhere between 2009 and 12 when I was in college that I found out about Trocadero. And my ex-boyfriend back then, he had a pair of point shoes. And that was my first time thinking, oh, I guess you could buy a pair even if you're a
Try
guy.
'em on.
And, point shoes, it looks fun for someone that never done it before. And like obviously it looks hard. But that was really intriguing to me. So that's when I got my first pair during my first year in Texas. Yeah,
And did you, like, put him on at home and try to twirl a little bit at a couple of échappés and see if you could get on top of the shoe, which is
I
not
did.
a thing? No.
I did. And the funny thing is, I kept wearing my first pair for about more than a year, longer than a
Mhm.
year. And I didn't even know, I didn't even have the concept of shoes being dead. Like I didn't know like what the shoes
Oh,
meant.
mhm, mhm.
But yeah, like later on I found out, oh yeah, these are dead.
So, yeah, so you probably were trying to dance in dead shoes for, like, 10 months out of the year that you had your shoes.
Hmm. Yeah,
Jesus Jehovah. So now that you've been with the company for 2.5 years, right? So
yeah.
like this, we're just chatting after you've had a little bit of like the opportunity to tour with the trucks around the
Hmm.
world for a couple of years and be really immersed in the truck reality. What would you say that you've enjoyed the most about being at trucks so far?
I enjoy the combination of doing comedy
Mhm.
and dancing at the same time because I have always loved comedy. If I could, you know, I I would be I want to be a stand-up comedian,
Yeah.
but I was never good at public speaking. Like that's not something that I'm comfortable with.
Yep.
So yeah, but I've always loved comedy. I love watching comedy, stand-up comedy. Um,
So
and
physical comedy comes to you more naturally than like actual verbal comedy though, right?
yeah,
So the aspect
yeah,
and Japan has such a strong culture of like physicality in its comedy too, in its
yeah.
humor that you draw on that naturally anyway, because I noticed that being in Japan for the first time. So you like to be the class clown and you like to dance ballet. So in that
Mhm.
sense, Crocodero was a good mix for
Yeah,
it.
perfect.
And so do you think now that you've been able to draw on both when you're approaching a character, let's say like you're learning a new role that you're going to be performing soon, do you approach it from a technical aspect first or do you approach it from a comedic or like performance aspect first for you as an artist?
Mm, I feel like it has changed. when I just joined, I think I focused more on the technique first. Uh, but later on, I think I started approaching more like at the same time concurrently,
Mhm.
except when it comes to roles, something that's more technique heavy, like for
Yeah.
example, Swan Queen,
Yeah.
um, Greasy in Padoka. I think those like I have to focus on the technique first,
First.
and then figure out the comedy aspects. Even for Swan Queen, after debuting, I am still trying to find those comedic moments,
Of course.
while also still trying to accomplish the technical aspects too. Yeah.
Yeah. But and comedy is so organic that even when you find those comedic moments that work for you, the more you do the role, and that's going to be influenced by the audience that sees it, the partner that you'll be
Yeah.
to, the rest of the cast. So if you're comfortable in technique aspect of it and you're naturally uh, a performer like you are, right, with that
Mhm.
interpretation of comedy that comes to you so naturally, then you have like this ample opportunity to like pull from everywhere in every performance, right? So that must
Yeah.
be pretty freeing. Along the same lines, what would you say has been the hardest thing about touring constantly, like we always do? And how do you manage to like keep it together physically and mentally when we're on the road?
Yeah, they are several things that's hard about it,
Well, the list.
but I would say one of them is being jet lagged
Mhm.
and getting used to the food, I would say, especially when we are going to other countries.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the first thing that like on day one, what I try to do is not to take a nap like around until like later at night, until maybe at least 10 p.m.
Mhm.
I try to stay awake. But you guys been like really good about getting us to the destination like during the daytime, so it's been like really
Right.
helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And also that day off is like so important, right? Like, you read about athletes that travel somewhere and spend like a week before a meet or something to acclimatize. And we land in a place and you guys have like a day off, and then the next day there you are opening night. So
yeah,
battling jet lag must be really, really difficult. And getting the
mhm.
right amount of food, right? Like finding a
Yeah,
place to get good food and manage sleep before we're actually performing. What else?
yeah.
What is hard?
Um, what's hard about it? I mean, I think this is still related to being jet lagged, but
Uh-huh.
being tired when you're home
Mhm.
and being tired when you're in a place where you're not used to is I think it's completely different.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, because like you're constantly stimulated too, because you are somewhere that you've never been to, and there are a lot of exciting things.
And
But
you
it
feel you
also,
have to do these things, right? At home, you can just plop in bed and die. But if you're in
yeah,
Greece and you're like, the Acropolis is right there, I should not be resting. I should be going to the Acropolis. I see what you
yeah, yeah,
geez.
yeah, and yeah. But except besides the first day, I try to uh, take a nap
Mhm.
um, as much as I can because sleeping, like when I'm home, I don't sleep very much.
Yeah.
I am one of those people. Like sleeping 6 hours is enough.
Oh, wow.
Maybe 7, but more than 7 hours, it usually makes me really tired throughout the
Mhm.
day. But when I'm abroad, need I need to take naps.
Well, because what you're asking of your body when we're on the road is so much more extreme, that
Yeah,
when you're at home and you're at rehearsal and then going home, you have a managed schedule. But with all the stimuli and what you're having to output physically, basically
yeah,
when you're a performer, you're dropping in a corner and trying to catch up.
Yeah, especially when on show days, we
Mhm.
start later, so
Yeah.
our schedule literally changes. It
Mhm.
shifts. Yeah, so
Mhm. Wow. How interesting. I never really thought about that, what you were just talking about, like the stimulus, like the overstimulation that you get when you're on the road. And even if your body's catatonic and you're just trying to sleep, there's this
yeah,
voice inside your head that you're like, but you should be making the most of this opportunity since you're traveling all over.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
what has been on your time with the Trocks already so far, the tours that we've done, which one has been your favorite place, like city or country to visit? And what was it about it that made it so?
Yeah. Well, I mean Japan, of course, but
For
besides
personal
besides
reasons. Yeah. Hmm.
besides Japan, I really liked Madrid in Spain.
Mm.
We also got to stay there for was it 2 weeks or 3 weeks?
Yeah, just like
Yeah,
2.5 weeks basically. Yeah, we were there for
yeah,
quite a long time for us at least. Yeah.
yeah. So we had enough time to actually explore
Hmm.
and get to know the area that we were staying at. So that was really fun, and um, we we had brunch a lot.
Yeah. So you were
Yeah.
able to like get fall in a schedule that you could just like
Mhm.
enjoy,
Yeah,
falling into a rhythm, still
yeah,
exploring.
definitely. Like, yeah, like my roommate Jake and I and some other dancers. I think we kind of developed our routine,
Mhm,
like
mhm.
what to do, like getting breakfast in the morning, and take a nap, and then go out for a lunch, and
And the
sometimes a
shows
little.
were late too in Madrid, in Spain, the shows tend to be later, so
Yeah,
you could actually we would be starting the day later
yeah,
also, absolutely. But it's funny
yeah.
because most of the dancers, when I've interviewed them recently, most people say that one of the favorite places that they've been to on tour with the Trucks is, of course, Japan, and
Mhm.
the fan base being a big reason aside from all the other things that make Japan a wonderful country. But for you got to perform in front of family and friends that maybe had never seen you perform as a
Mhm.
member of Trocadero before. So, how was it to be able to go back home and perform for family that you don't see all the time in the full drag tutu Trocadero comedic element? Was that like
Mhm. Oh,
fun?
very special. Yeah, really fun and special. Especially like with my family, they have never been outside of Japan.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm the only one with a passport in my
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
And so they never visited the States to see me perform either. Since I left Japan in 2006, besides the time that I was back home for a year, I've only performed in Japan maybe 2 times. Yeah,
Wow.
so they didn't really, they haven't really seen me perform
You
that much
performed.
in person.
Yeah.
And after joining the Trocks, yeah, all my family members and even friends that I haven't seen since high school or junior high, like they came and see me perform. So I had a lot of reconnecting with people too.
So a lot of these people hadn't even seen you perform as a professional dancer, so to speak, because you had done most of your professional career outside of Japan up to that
Yeah,
point, right?
correct. Yes.
Wow, how neat. That's great that you were able to go back. I didn't realize that. I thought that they had had the opportunity to see you perform professionally in Japan before. So, what a wonderful opportunity that was. That's fantastic. So, hey,
Yeah.
last question I'm going to throw at
Yes.
you. Fa- Actually, I'm going to preface this by saying you are getting ready to perform and have recently performed some really big roles for the company, right? So you've already done Swan Queen. We're
Yeah.
preparing for you to debut as Giselle coming
Mhm.
up. Did you ever foresee yourself dancing these kinds of roles in a ballet company? I mean, aside from the fact that as a traditional
Mhm.
male dancer, you would have not had the chance. But did you ever think that you were going to be doing those roles?
Not at all. Um, because I joined, so 2.5 years ago, I think I was 34.
Mhm.
Uh, and not saying like 34 is too old to debut big roles, but as someone who didn't have a lot of classical ballet performance experience in their career, I never expected to do Swan Queen or Giselle. When I auditioned, I was just thinking, oh, it would be really wonderful if I can be in their core. That was all I was thinking. And
Not
yeah,
in the Trocadero, my friend. We are an equal opportunity lender, so you'll just be straight on to from the core to the lead to the core. Thank you very much.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So then what has been your favorite role to perform so far? Because you've done a bunch already, and or something that you are still really looking forward to dance in the future in your career.
So my favorite roles that I have done, um, I would say Joke Swan is definitely one of them because I've done this since I think I've been doing this for almost 2 years
Yeah.
now. Yeah, and that role is really, of course, it's special, but something that I feel like I am comfortably able to contribute
Yeah, I think
as
you make
who I
it.
am.
You make it. Well, everybody contributes, and you certainly always contribute, but you make it yours. Most people that does jokes on, they feel like they have the opportunity to make that role
Hmm.
theirs, and certainly yours is different than other jokes ones. And
Hmm.
yeah, I think I imagine it's fun to do too. Now that you
Very
have
fun.
it mastered under your belt. Yeah.
Very fun to do. Very energetic, and I think it's so Anya Marx too. Like always ready and energetic. That's my interpretation of Anya Marx. So yeah,
So then, what
and
else? Any other roles?
Greasy in Padoka. There's something about romantic ballet
Mhm.
um, that I enjoy about. I think it's the elements in the style that allows me to explore in a different way compared to more classical ballet, like more pancake tutu ballets.
Yeah.
You get to use your eyes more
Mhm.
with your ippon on, like just doing this kind of movement with your eyes, like pointing
Mhm.
at different directions, and I really like playing with those things. And you get to learn the style. I mean, it getting to learn about the styles, it's the same for almost pretty much like every ballet in our
Mhm.
rep, but especially like romantic ballet that I really enjoyed exploring the movement and subtle nuances
Yeah.
that I get to play with. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like romantic ballets for the same reason, actually. And I think if
Hmm.
you enjoy comedy the way that you describe and performance the way that you describe, a romantic ballet definitely gives you a bit more of an opportunity to do that. So
Yeah.
that's great. Shohei, it's been great chatting with you, and I think it's been really illuminating for me to get to learn to know more about you and for anybody who watches. So you haven't seen what I'm about to show, but before we say goodbye, I'm gonna show a little bit of footage of you dancing. And this was like earlier in your Trocadero
uh,
career. We're gonna already pulling into your comedic strengths. So it was the blue girl role in Raymonda when you're like the bridesmaid that's wearing the wrong tutu
yeah.
cut right at the beginning. But so before we say goodbye to the viewers, I do want to remind them that if you want to watch additional interviews with our Trocadero artists and other collaborators, you can find those on our YouTube channel on the playlist of Know Your Troc. You can also follow us on social media in the usual outlets. Instagram at Le Ballet Trocadero. On Facebook, it's the full company name, Le Ballet Trocadero de Monte Carlo. And for our TikTok followers, you can find us at the Trocks. Additionally, you can head over to our website, www.trocadero.org, where you can see the schedule of upcoming Trocadero performances. There's a newly added timeline with highlights of the company's journey throughout the 5 decades that we've been in existence, and also listings of events and other activities around their 50th anniversary celebration and beyond. Most importantly, though, and I think Shohei will agree, the way to enjoy the Trocks is live. So if we're going to a city near you, buy a ticket, come see us. It's great to see us on YouTube, but it's better to see us live. Wouldn't you say, Shohei? You know,
Yes.
it's
Yeah, of course.
definitely,
We love having audiences
yeah.
live.
And also, we benefit. You get a better show when you see the Trocks in person, and your laughter feeds the performers. So that
Hmm.
interaction is super important. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you, Shohei, for being
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you, Anya. We're going to leave you with a little bit of footage of Shohei dancing in Raimonda. Stay with us. And until next time, keep on trucking. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.